Very good morning, students. Myself, Dr. Pooja Gupta, HOD, School of Medical and Paramedical Sciences, ITM University, Gwalior. So today our topic to discuss, I will learn about the pelvic floor muscles, and the pelvic floor innervations. Okay. So we study the human pelvis, especially in females, because females' pelvis are unique, and because of the childbearing capacity of female pelvis. So we'll study the female pelvis as a whole. Now, see, for obstetrical purposes, the pelvis is divided by pelvic brim into two parts: the true pelvis and the false pelvis. As we have already done with this, there is true pelvis, and the pelvis is divided into two parts: the true pelvis and the false pelvis. As you can see here in this, the bony structure of pelvis, that is here the iliac crest, the then this is the ilium, this is the ischium, then this is femur, and you can see here the this is the sacrum. Okay, now this is a sacral promontory, and this is this sacroiliac joint. Okay, then this is sacrum as a whole, then it's the lowest part is the coccyx, lowest part is the coccyx, this is coccyx, here it is. Okay, and then you can see other portion, this is the ischium, and this is pubic symphysis joint. Okay, these are the rami of the pubis, superior rami and the inferior rami, the obturator foramen. So this is the bony part of the pelvis. Okay, in other picture you can see how the pelvis look like in other things. So the muscles that span the floor are collectively known as the pelvic diaphragm. So the muscles of pelvic floor are collectively known as the pelvic diaphragm. They are called as the pelvic diaphragm. This pelvic diaphragm consists of the levator ani and the coccygeus muscles, along with their superior and inferior investing layers of fascia. So this diaphragm consists of, basically this is of very importance, this pelvis diaphragm. So it consists of two muscles, the levator ani, and group of these muscles, the levator ani and the coccygeus muscles. Okay, and their superior and inferior investing layers of fascia. Now, the inferior to the pelvic diaphragm, the perineal membrane and the perineal body are contribute to the pelvic floor. Okay, so along with the pelvic diaphragm, the perineal membrane and perineal body also contribute to the pelvic floor. Okay, now what is the levator ani muscles? Now, this is the most important muscles in the pelvic floor. Okay, and represents a critical component of pelvic organ support. So pelvic organs are supported on the levator ani muscles. Physiologically, normal levator ani muscles maintain a constant state of contraction. So these levator ani muscles remain in a state of contraction always, and so provide a solid floor that supports the weight of the abdominopelvic contents against intra-abdominal forces. So this levator ani muscles provide a solid floor that supports the weight of the abdominopelvic contents against the intra-abdominal forces. Okay, so this levator ani muscle is of great importance in the pelvic diaphragm. Now, next is, you can see here the various muscles and the, you can see from top we can go for this. This is the bulbocavernous muscle. Okay, so first you see these three openings is there. This is the your urethral opening, okay, to pass the urine. Okay, this is your vaginal opening, okay, and this is your anal opening. This is the three openings at the buttocks, at the pelvic diaphragm. These are the openings. Okay, now next is, you can see here the various muscles of this from top to below. This is bulbocavernous muscle, okay, then ischio-cavernous muscle, then perineal membrane, okay, then there is superficial transverse perineal membrane, then sacrotuberous ligament from the sacrum to the, this is the sacrum to the tuberosity, ischial tuberosity of your hip bone. Okay, so sacrotuberous ligament, then there is perineal bodies. Here it's a perineal body, okay, then there is external anal sphincter, the anal opening. This is the anal opening, so it is the external anal sphincter. Then there is iliococcygeal ileum and iliococcygeal raphe. Okay, from here we can see the levator, the pelvic diaphragm. How the pelvic diaphragm is made? So pelvic diaphragm is made up of the levator ani. This is the pelvic diaphragm. Okay, so all these muscles are called as the pelvic diaphragm. It consists of levator ani and the coccygeus muscle. Okay, now the levator ani muscle is formed by the pubococcygeus. As the name suggests, these are the names of all the muscles from pubic to coccyx. So pubococcygeus, from pubic to rectum, so puborectalis, from this ilium to coccygeus is the, see, from ilium to coccygeus is iliococcygeus. Okay, so these are the muscles of the levator ani muscle. Now next is the same, as you can see here, the pubovaginalis, okay, puboperinealis and puboanalis. Okay, to the vagina, to vaginalis, to the anus, to the analis, and to the perineal body, to puboperinealis. So these are the levator ani muscles. Okay, now the other muscle is the coccygeus muscles, which forms the pelvic diaphragm. Okay, so these are, see here also they have this various muscle. This is pubovaginalis near the vaginal opening. This puboperinealis near the perineal body. Okay, then puboanalis near the anal opening. Okay, so these all three together forms the pubococcygeus muscle. Okay, that is the pubovisceral also. They are also called as the pubovisceral muscle. Then puborectalis and iliococcygeus. So all this together forms the levator ani muscle. Okay, so you must know this levator ani muscle. These are very have a very importance in, especially in urinary incontinence. A condition is called as urinary incontinence in females, that that represents the females are not able to hold the urine, or they pass urine when they cough or they sneeze. So these muscles get weakened at because of various reasons are there, but especially after delivery, or if the muscles are not not a proper core and strengthening exercises, so this causes the this weakness of these muscles resulting in the urinary incontinence. Now next is the pubococcygeus. I will deal with every muscle one by one. So pubococcygeus is formed by the pubovaginalis, puboperinealis and the iliococcygeus muscle. Okay, so pubovaginalis is no direct attachment to urethra. The muscle fibers that attach to vagina are responsible to elevate urethra during a pelvic muscle contraction, contributing to urinary continence. Okay, puboperinealis draws the perineal body towards the pubic symphysis. Okay, the action of this puboperinealis muscle is it draws the perineal body towards the pubic symphysis. Pubococcygeus elevates the anus. So all the muscle fibers of levator ani keep the urogenital hiatus narrow. Okay, so this urogenital hiatus or openings, this is maintained by the narrowed by the pubococcygeus muscles. Now puborectalis, U-shaped sling. Puborectalis is a U-shaped sling. It draws the anorectal junction towards pubis. Okay, and it contributes to anorectal angle. Okay, and part of anal sphincter complex contributes for fecal incontinence. See, okay, so this puborectalis contributes to anorectal angle and part of a sphincter complex contributing for fecal continence, actually not incontinence. It's responsible for these things. Now next is iliococcygeus. So primarily support the it's a supporting muscle, the iliococcygeus. It arises from the arcuate tendinous and the ischial spines. Okay, fibers from either side fuse at anococcygeal raphe, forms supportive shelf on which rectum, upper vagina and uterus rest. Okay, so fibers from either side fuse at anococcygeal raphe, forms a supportive shelf on which rectum, upper vagina and uterus rest. Okay, now you can see here in this slide you can see this is the coccyx. Okay, and this is the pubic symphysis, your interior, and this is coccyx at the posterior. Now see the levator plate. Here is the levator plate, the puborectalis muscle and the pubococcygeus muscle. So this forms the base, the support to all these abdominal organs. You can see here the uterus, this is the urinary bladder and other your rectum and descending colons and all this is support on these pelvic diaphragm only, the muscles of your pelvic floor. Okay, so this is in this same, it is shown here. Okay, all the intra-abdominal pressure comes on these pelvic organs and it causes this. So here also you can see the muscles in details. What are the various pelvic floor muscles? So from top, this is the pubic symphysis. Okay, joint pubic symphysis, the interior, this is interior and this is posterior. Okay, now next is this is pubic symphysis and this is your coccyx. And in between there are three openings are present. First we can see the arcuate pubic ligament, it is here. Okay, deep dorsal vein of this your clitoris. Then this is the urethra, then that's a vaginal opening. Okay, now it is the muscles and this is your anal opening. Okay, first understand this. And the muscles which are the obturator canal This is the obturator canal. Okay, then there is obturator internus muscle. This is your obturator internus muscle. Then this pubococcygeus and puborectalis. So this is pubococcygeus and this is pubococcygeus, this one lower one, and the upper one is the puborectalis muscle. Okay, now the other is aqueous tendinous levator ani. Yeah, and rectum, it is here the anal opening, the rectum. Then there is ileococcygeus muscle. Then there is levator plate, median plate of levator ani muscle. See, you can see here the levator plate. This is the levator plate of your median levator ani. The ischial spine you can see here. Okay, ischial spine and the coccygeus muscle. So and this is the piriformis muscle. So piriformis muscle has a different importance in the low back pain. We'll study it afterwards. Okay, and so these are the various muscles. Here you can see the coccyx, the anterior sacrococcygeus ligament here, and the sacral promontory. This is the sacral promontory. This is the basically this is the superior view. The superior view of your pelvis. Okay, so next is perineum. The diamond shaped area between the perineum is a diamond shaped area between between the anal and the vaginal opening. Okay, it is bounded deeply by the inferior fascia of the pelvic diaphragm and superficially by the skin. Boundaries of the perineum are the same as those of the bony pelvic outlet. The pubic symphysis anteriorly, ischiopubic rami and ischial tuberosity anterolaterally. Okay, anteriorly there is pubic symphysis, ischiopubic rami and ischial tuberosities anterolaterally, coccyx posteriorly, and sacrotuberous ligament posterolaterally. Okay, these are the various boundaries of the perineum. Now, an arbitrary line joining the ischial tuberosities divides the perineum into anterior or urogenital triangle and a posterior or anal triangle. So by this arbitrary line, they divide joining the ischial tuberosities. They divide this perineum into two parts, two triangles. The first is the urogenital triangle, which contains the your urethra and the urinary vaginal opening, and the other is the posterior is the anal triangle, where the rectum or the end of the anus is present. So anterior urogenital triangle, content external genitalia. Okay, this anterior urogenital triangle contains external genitalia. Superficial transverse perineal muscles forms base of triangle. So this superficial transverse perineal muscles forms base of triangle. The triangle can be further divided into superficial and a deep pouch or space by the perineal membrane. Okay, so this can be further divided into superficial and deep pouch or space by the perineal membrane. So this is your anterior or urogenital triangle. Next is the superficial perineal space. So closed compartment that lies between Colles fascia and the perineal membrane. What is the superficial perineal space? It is the closed compartment that lies between Colles fascia and the perineal membrane. Its contents are ischio-cavernous, maintain ditoral erection. Okay, its contents are the ischio-cavernous, maintain ditoral erection. Bulbocavernosus contributes to the release of secretions from the bulbothene glands, Bartholin glands. Then superficial transverse perineal muscles contribute to perineal body. Okay, these are the contents of your superficial perineal space. Then there is Bartholin glands, then vestibular bulbs, clitoris, Branches of the pudendal vessels and nerve, urethra and the vaginal traverse this space. Okay, urethra and the vagina traverse this space, this superficial perineal space. It is all these things are present there in the ischiocavernosus, bulbocavernosus. Okay, then the superficial transverse perineal muscles, Bartholin glands, vestibular bulbs, clitoris, branches of pudendal vessels and nerve, and the urethra and vagina openings. So you can see here the perineal space. Okay, the perineal space is the first pubic symphysis, okay, and coccyx at the back. This is anterior and this is the posterior. Okay, now as you can see, bulbocavernosus, this is the bulbocavernosus, ischiocavernosus, okay, crus of clitoris, okay, then you can see here the cut edge of labrum minora, this cut edge of labrum minora, ischiocavernosus muscle, this is ischiocavernosus muscle, vestibular bulb, okay, then Bartholin glands, here it is present Bartholin glands, then is bulbocavernosus muscle which is cut, okay, then here you can see the corpus clitoris, okay, then preputal frenatum, then clitoris frenatum, istiopubic ramus, this is the istiopubic ramus, the bony part, then the labium minus, then the labia minora, bulbocavernous muscle, this is your bulbocavernous muscle, ischial tuberosity, then superficial transverse perineal muscle, this is your superficial transverse perineal muscle, then external anal sphincter, see this is the urethral opening, the other is the vaginal opening, then this is your anal opening. Okay, so sacrotuberous, the external anal sphincter, and the sacrotuberous ligament. So these are the various structures at the perineal space. Now, deep perineal space. Deep perineal space is this space continuous superiorly with the pelvic cavity. Space is continuous superiorly with the pelvic cavity, and it contains are the compressor urethrae, ureterovaginal sphincter muscles, external urethral sphincter, parts of urethra and vagina, branches of the internal pudendal artery, dorsal nerve and vein of the clitoris. So these are the various deep perineal space. These are the various contents of the deep perineal space. Again, the same thing, they have shown all the contents of the deep perineal space, as you can see here. So deep perineal space formed by the dorsal artery of, this is the dorsal artery of clitoris, ureterovaginal sphincter muscles, okay, ureterovaginal sphincter muscles, compressor urethrae muscles, transverse vaginal muscles, internal pudendal nerve artery, other artery, then the perineal membrane, okay, these are all smooth muscles, and here you can see the posterior labial arteries, then the perineal membrane, perineal artery, interpudendal artery, inferior rectal artery. These are all arteries and the various deep perineum, the structures of deep perineum, and it's of importance in the urinary incontinence especially. Okay, these are of importance in the urinary incontinence. Now, perineal membrane. What is perineal membrane? So, the trilaminar triangular urogenital diaphragm, main component of the deep perineal pouch. Okay, perineal membrane is the main component of deep perineal pouch, and it is a trilaminar triangular urogenital diaphragm. Contains deep transverse perineal muscles and sphincter urethrae muscles. Okay, its contents are the deep transverse perineal and muscles and the sphincter urethrae muscles. Clinical correlation. The perineal membrane attaches to the lateral walls of the vagina, approximately at the level of the hymen. Okay, the perineal membrane attaches to the lateral walls of the vagina, approximately at the level of the hymen. It provides support to the distal vagina and urethra by attaching these structures to the bony pelvis. So these are the various about the perineal membrane. Okay. Now next is the posterior anal triangle. Okay, we have seen the anterior urovaginal triangle. Now urogenital triangle. Now there is posterior anal triangle. So contents are ischio-anal fossa and anal canal, anal sphincter complex, branches of internal pudendal vessels and pudendal nerve. Okay, bounded deeply by the fascia overlying the inferior surface of the levator ani muscles and laterally by the fascia overlying the medial surface of the obturator internus muscles. Okay, so these are the various contents of posterior or the posterior anal triangle. The ischio anal fossa, anal canal, anal sphincter complex, branches of the internal pudendal vessels and the pudendal nerve, bonded deeply by the fascia overlying the inferior surface of the levator ani muscles and laterally by the fascia overlying the medial surface of the obturator internus muscles. Now, a splitting of the obturator internus fascia in this area is the pudendal or the also called as Alcock canal, which allows passage of the internal pudendal vessels and the pudendal nerve, whose terminal branches supply the vulva and the perineum. Basically, these pudendal nerves are the innervations for your pelvic floor. All the pelvic floor muscles are supplied by these pudendal nerves only. Okay. So here you can see the various pudendal anterior tibial branch, labial branches. See the anococcygeal now. One by one we can see the anococcygeal now. Okay, ischiorectal fossa, then inferior rectal nerves. Inferior rectal nerves, these are the inferior rectal nerves because they have relation with the rectum. That's why they are called as according in relation to the rectum. Okay, now next is the perforating cutaneous nerve. Okay, then sacrotuberous ligament, then gluteus maximus muscle it is here, then inferior, these are the various other nerves. See here, gluteus maximus muscles, inferior gluteal nerves, pudendal nerve in the Alcock canal, perineal nerve, you can see here. Okay, then pudendal or dorsal clitoris nerve entering the urogenital diaphragm. Okay, perineal branch of posterior femoral cutaneous nerve, the superficial and deep branches of perineal nerves, the posterior labial nerves, the dorsal nerve of the clitoris, the anterior labial branch of the ischial-inguinal nerve. Okay, so these are the various muscles of the nerves of the your pelvic diaphragm. Now we'll switch to next is the ischiorectal fossa. What is the ischiorectal fossa? It fills the majority of the anal triangle. Its contents are the adipose tissue, occasional blood vessels, anal canal and anal sphincter complex in the center of this fossa. It is bounded superomedially, inferior fascia of levator muscles, anterolaterally, fascia covering the obturator internus muscle and the ischial tuberosities, then posterolaterally, sulcus maximus muscle and sacrotuberous ligaments, then superficial level, bounded anteriorly by the superficial transversus peroneus muscle. Deeper level, there is no facial boundary between the fossa and the tissues deep in the perineal membrane. Okay, so these are the contents and the boundaries of ischiorectal fossa. Next is the posterior of the anus. The contents of the fossa are continuous across the midline except for the attachments of the external anal sphincter fibers to the coccyx. So the continuity at ischioanal fossa across perineal compartments allows fluid infection and malignancy to spread from one side of the anal canal to the other, okay, as well as into the perineal compartment due to perineal membranes. So because there is a continuous anus, the contents of the fossa are continuous across the midline except for the attachments of the external and sphincter fibers of the coccyx. So this because it's a continuous structure in midline, the infection, the malignancy, the fluid contents, this all spread to the other side of the canal also. Okay, so this is the from one to the other deep perineal membrane. Now what is the anal sphincter complex? So it contains two sphincters. In the anal sphincter complex there are two sphincters. The contents are two sphincters and puborectalis muscle. Okay, in the anal sphincter complex two sphincters are there and a puborectalis muscle is there. Sphincters are the openings which is controlled, which is in voluntary control, that is called as sphincter, the openings. Now, external anal sphincter surrounds the distal anal canal, consists of superficial and a deep portion. The deep fibers blend with the lowest fibers of the puborectalis muscle, innervated by a branch of pudendal nerve, responsible for the squeeze pressure of the anal canal. Okay, this is about the external anal sphincter. This is responsible for the squeeze pressure of the anal canal when you defecate. Okay, and innervated by the pudendal nerve. Now, internal anal sphincter, thickening of the circular muscles, smooth muscle layer of the anal wall. This is the internal anal sphincter, is the thickening of the circular smooth muscle layer of the anal wall, innervated by autonomic nervous system. This internal anal sphincter responsible for the 80% of resting pressure on the anal canal. This internal anal sphincter is responsible for 80% of the resting pressure on the anal canal. Now, what is the perineal body? Now, perineal body is the mass of fibromuscular tissue found between the distal part of the posterior vaginal wall and the anus, formed by the attachment of several structures. Their contributions are bulbocavernosus, superficial transverse perineal and external anal sphincter muscles. At deeper level, perineal membrane, levator ani muscles and covering fascia, uretrovaginal sphincter muscles, this distal part of posterior vaginal wall. So these are all the contents of perineal body. So anterior to posterior as well as the superior to inferior extents of the perineal body measure approximately 2 to 4 centimeters. Now, the clinical correlation during episiotomy in the normal delivery, when there is normal delivery, during episiotomy, the other vaginal laceration repairs and with pelvic reconstructive procedures, particular attention should be paid to the reconstruction of the perineal body, okay, in an effort to prevent pelvic organ prolapse or other pelvic floor dysfunction. So this is very important during episiotomy in the normal delivery, when they give the incision to this perineal body. So there should be proper healing and proper suturing of this body, so that the other vaginal suturing of the other vaginal laceration repairs with the pelvic reconstructive procedures. Particularly attention should be paid to the reconstruction of the perineal body in an effort to prevent pelvic organ prolapse. Because if there is some weakness remains, there may occur pelvic organ prolapse, okay, and the other pelvic floor dysfunctions. So, and the urinary incontinence is also one of them, and this prolapse. In both the cases, physiotherapy is very important in both the cases. So this should be done properly during the this suturing, and healing should be done properly during the episiotomy. Okay. Next is the pelvic floor innervations. The last one is the pelvic floor innervations. The pelvic diaphragm muscles second through the fifth sacral nerves roots. Okay, see, all these pelvic floor muscles are supplied by the pelvic floor innervations are by the sacral nerves from this S2 to S5. Okay, second through the fifth sacral nerve roots, and the perineal or inferior surface is supplied by the branches of the pudendal nerve. Okay, so the perineal sacral nerve roots and your pudendal nerve. The perineal and the inferior surface is supplied by the branches of the pudendal nerve. That is the incontinence. This causes, if there is some problem in the innervation, it may cause incontinence. So the nerve supply is by the sacral nerve roots S2 to S5 and the pudendal nerve. Okay, perineal surface is by the pudendal nerve. So that's all about the pelvic floor muscles and the pelvic floor innervation.